The rain fell steadily on the cobblestone streets, turning the city into a blurred watercolor of lights and shadows. Neon reflections shimmered across puddles, distorting the world into something almost unrecognizable, as if reality itself had begun to bend under the weight of unseen forces. Amid the rhythmic patter, a figure slipped through the mist, clutching a camera that looked ordinary enough, yet carried a secret so profound it could unravel the understanding of the world as we knew it. From the outside, the device appeared like any vintage film camera, a relic rescued from a forgotten corner of an antique store. Its metal casing was dulled, scratched by decades of use, and the lens glimmered with an almost imperceptible depth. But those who had glimpsed its true power whispered about it with hushed reverence. They said it could see things that were not supposed to be seen, images that existed not in this world but somewhere parallel, layered atop the one we inhabit like a faint echo. The story begins with Dr. Elias Hart, a physicist whose fascination with quantum anomalies had consumed nearly every aspect of his life. He had spent years exploring the theory of multiverses, running simulations and experiments that most dismissed as fanciful or impossible. His obsession, though, was fueled not just by theory, but by an unshakable conviction that these parallel realities were tangible, waiting for someone clever enough to reveal them. It was during one late night in his cluttered laboratory, amid stacks of dusty tomes and humming machinery, that the camera arrived. No one knew where it came from. It appeared on his doorstep as simply as a letter might, contained in a small wooden box etched with symbols that seemed at once familiar and utterly alien. The moment Elias touched the device, he felt a subtle vibration, like the heartbeat of a universe barely perceptible yet undeniably real. He could not have known then that every photograph he would take with it would ripple outward, reaching into realms unseen, capturing moments of reality that existed alongside his own in ways that defied comprehension. The first image he snapped was of the city street outside his lab. At first glance, it appeared ordinary: wet asphalt, flickering streetlights, a figure hurrying under an umbrella. But when he developed the photograph, the differences became apparent. In the corner of the frame, beyond the wet shimmer of the cobblestones, a parallel city coexisted. Towering structures of crystalline geometry stretched toward a sky-tinted violet, their surfaces pulsing with an inner light that the naked eye could not perceive. Figures moved along those streets, shadowy silhouettes that mirrored the movements of the pedestrians in his world, but were subtly, impossibly distinct. Elias stared, heart pounding, as he realized the camera had not merely photographed reality, it had uncovered another one. Days blurred into nights as Elias became increasingly consumed by the device. He ventured to the edges of the city, to abandoned warehouses and fog-laden bridges, each location a potential window into the unseen. The camera responded in unpredictable ways, sometimes revealing parallel realities as subtle distortions, walls that appeared translucent, reflections in puddles that moved independently of their sources, and at other times exposing entire worlds layered atop his own, where time flowed differently, where light behaved in strange, unearthly ways. He began to understand that these realities were not static. They were alive, shifting in response to the act of observation itself. The first signs of danger appeared subtly. Objects from those other realities occasionally bled into his own. A silver bird, impossible in form and feathered in the patterns of shifting galaxies, perched briefly on his windowsill before vanishing as if swallowed by the night. Shadows moved against the rules of physics, lingering when they should have dissipated, stretching unnaturally along the walls of his laboratory. Elias's colleagues began to notice changes in his demeanor. He spoke less, his eyes haunted by glimpses that no one else could see, and he spent hours muttering to the camera as though it could respond. One evening, driven by a compulsion he could neither name nor resist, Elias mounted the camera on a tripod at the edge of an old pier. The water beneath reflected the moon, ripples caught in the wind like fragments of broken silver. He adjusted the lens, focused, and pressed the shutter. The photograph that developed hours later defied every law of physics he had spent his life studying. The lake appeared not as a reflection of his world, but as a portal into another. Trees on the opposite shore were inverted, their branches reaching downward into the water as though gravity had reversed. A faint glow emanated from beneath the surface, revealing creatures whose forms flickered between solidity and transparency, alive in a manner both terrifying and magnificent. Elias realized then that the camera did more than reveal, it connected. By capturing images of parallel realities, he could influence them subtly at first, altering reflections, nudging shadows, shifting the movement of beings in those worlds. With each photograph he experimented, cautious yet irresistibly curious. A street corner that appeared cracked in one reality would heal in another. A light that flickered in a distant skyline would stabilize, casting shadows in his own world. The boundaries between universes were porous, and he held the key to a power that defied comprehension. It was the night of the storm when the consequences became undeniable. Thunder shook the city, and wind tore through the alleys, carrying whispers that seemed not quite human. Elias positioned the camera in the attic of his building, pointing toward the heart of the city. As lightning fractured the sky, he clicked the shutter, expecting the usual interplay of light and parallel echoes. What emerged, however, was something far beyond. The photograph revealed a convergence, a place where countless realities had begun to fold into one another. Streets overlapped, buildings collided in impossible geometry, and rivers of light streamed across the scene like liquid starlight. Within that chaos moved entities of incomprehensible form, neither entirely material nor entirely immaterial, observing, shifting, and watching Elias with an awareness that made his skin crawl. Fear, a sensation he had not allowed himself in months, finally gripped him. He understood the camera had opened a doorway, not merely to observe, but to interact. And now the worlds he had glimpsed were no longer contained within the frame. His own reality trembled under the weight of possibilities, and he realized that every photograph he had taken had been a ripple. Each one nudging those parallel realms closer, weaving them into an intricate lattice that threatened to collapse under its own complexity. In the days that followed, the city changed subtly. Shadows were no longer predictable. Reflections occasionally lingered longer than they should, and glimpses of alien skylines appeared at the edge of windows and mirrors. People spoke of odd sensations, moments of déjà vu, fleeting glimpses of things they could not name. Elias remained secluded, camera in hand, documenting, observing, trying to map the vast web of realities he had unwittingly entangled. He became part chronicler, part prisoner, bound to the device by a fascination he could not relinquish. The story of the camera spread slowly, whispered among those who dabbled in the strange and unexplained. Legends grew of a man who could see other worlds, who held in his hands a lens capable of revealing the infinite tapestry of existence. Scholars debated its authenticity, skeptics dismissed it, yet the photographs occasionally surfaced, once in an old journal, once as a viral image online, a street scene impossibly altered, buildings bending into angles that should not exist, shadows moving independently. To those who gazed upon them, the world appeared not quite as they remembered. Something deeper stirred beneath the surface, a reality layered upon their own, waiting for someone brave enough or foolish enough to capture it again. Elias's fate remains uncertain. Some say he vanished into one of the realities the camera revealed, lost forever in a labyrinth of endless worlds. Others claim he still roams the streets at night, shutter clicking, searching for new angles, new distortions, forever chasing the impossible, guided by a device that sees what should not be seen. The camera itself, enigmatic and unclaimed, occasionally appears, resurfacing in the hands of those who dare to explore the boundaries of perception, inviting the curious and the obsessed to peer beyond the veil. And so the city remains, ordinary to the untrained eye, but threaded with hidden realities, echoing layers of existence just beyond perception. Every reflection, every shadow, every shimmer of light could be a window. Somewhere in the rain-slicked streets, a camera waits, its lens alive with possibilities, ready to show the worlds that coexist quietly, invisibly, alongside our own, waiting for the next person willing to see. The story is not one of fiction alone, for reality is stranger than imagination. Perhaps it is already happening around you. Perhaps the light glinting off a puddle, the twist of a shadow, the flicker of a distant window holds within it a universe waiting to be captured. Waiting for someone to press the shutter and reveal that the world you know is only one of countless. The camera that could capture parallel realities exists, whether in myth, memory, or possibility. And somewhere just beyond the edge of perception, it watches, waiting, inviting, whispering the eternal question. If you could see all worlds, which would you choose to remember and which would you dare to change?